Learning Target 5.10 says, I can describe the pH scale as logarithmic and use it to compare the relative acidities of solutions. So if we think back to previously in this unit, we know that the pH scale goes from 1 to 14, and something in the middle with a pH of 7 would be neutral. And again, in between these pHs of 1 and 7, we could say there's something with a pH of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are all acidic. And we could also say something has a pH of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And these would all be basic solutions. Now if you take a comparison between something with a pH of 1 and a pH of 2, you might think that the substance with a pH of 1 is 1 times more acidic than the substance with a pH of 2. However, as this learning target states, the difference between each 1 unit scale on the pH scale is actually a difference of the power of 10. So you'd actually say that a substance with a pH of 1 is not 1 but 10 times more acidic than something with a pH of 2. Moving on, this difference between 2 and 3 also represents the power of 10. So you would say that a substance with a pH of 1 is actually 100 times more acidic than a substance with a pH of 3, as 10 times 10 is 100. Even further on, if you look at the difference between 3 and 4, that also represents the power of 10. So you would say a substance with a pH of 1 is 10 times 10 times 10, or 1,000 times more acidic than a substance with a pH of 4. So the step is to take the difference between your two pH values. So you might have a solution with a pH of 4 and a solution with a pH of 1. And if you subtract those, you get 3. And because every single 1 on the pH scale, that difference, represents the power of 10, we're going to take 10 and put that difference as the exponent right there. So if something has a pH of 4 and a pH of 1, the substance with a pH of 1 is 10 to the third times more acidic than the substance with a pH of 4. And 10 to the third is simply 1,000. Or another example could be, let's look at two substances with a pH of 8 and a pH of 10. And the question might say, which one of these is more acidic and by how much? So if we take the difference here, we would take 10 minus 8, which is 2. And we would take 10 and put it to the second power, which would be 100. So you would say that the substance with a pH of 8 is 100 times more acidic than the substance with a pH of 10. Now let's scroll down here and you can pause the video to do this individual example. So looking at this example, it says how many times more basic is a solution with a pH of 11 than a solution that is neutral. So we know that a neutral solution has a pH of 7. And so if we take the difference of 11 minus 7, we get 4. And this difference of 10 to the fourth is actually 10,000. So because 11 is higher than 7, we would say a solution with a pH of 11 is 10,000 times more basic than a solution that is neutral, or pH of 7.